Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Andy Stevens. Some of you may recognize me. I used to be a regular attendee here at Guilford County Commission meetings. I used to speak frequently. I also used to speak quite a bit at Greensboro City Council meetings. I now live in Stokes County. I do want to claim for the record that I'm here tonight for the public hearing later. My comments are not going to be directed towards that matter during this portion of the speaking engagement. However, I do want to acknowledge that I am the Director of Legislative Affairs for Grassroots North Carolina. I'm also the North Carolina State Director for Gun Owners of America. And I provided all of you before this meeting began some information. And I want to briefly talk about why I provided that information today. We have a problem in approximately 8 counties in North Carolina in that sheriffs are not doing their jobs. Okay, part of their jobs are issuing pistol purchase permits, which we hope someday to repeal because it is truly a remnant of the Jim Crow past that needs to go away. You must be of certain moral character standards to be issued a firearm in the state of North Carolina permit system. But be that as it may, the permit system does exist today. Be that as it may, we are not one of the 22 constitutional carry states in the United States, although my desire and my hope in my dying breath is going to be to see the repeal of the racist Jim Crow pistol purchase permit regimen and true constitutional carry for North Carolinians. However, I'm here because the commissioners here heard on May 31st from a young lady from Burlington who came and implored this council to do something about their sheriff taking forever and a day to issue concealed handgun permits. She did not want a concealed handgun permit just because she wanted one. She wanted to be able to protect herself and her family, and she had at that point been waiting 11 months for a permit that ought to be issued in 90 days. Okay, this commission did nothing. However, I come to find out reading through the Rhino Times, of which I have several articles here that I can't display because you told me no paraphernalia for this particular transaction. But the Rhino Times suddenly comes up with article after article about why we want to now create criminals out of lawful gun owners. We want to use the statutes that we have, the ordinances that we have, to make ordinary people criminals. Why? Probably because we're not following the ordinance that was written in 1965. And there's a good reason for that, because the ordinance really makes no practical sense. Let me give you some facts and figures that you may dwell upon over the next few minutes, okay? If I happen to own a property that has residents on both sides that are both within 150 yards, and I have a road that's 150 yards away from me, I need to have a property that's approximately 9.72 acres in size in order to do something that you guys want to make legal on that particular piece of property. If I'm unfortunate enough to have people on 4 sides within 150 yards, that requires I need nearly 20 acres of property to do the same thing. Please keep that in mind as we go forward with the discussion later this evening, because I don't believe that that's representative of the demographics of the Guilford County population, those property owners that own 20 acres or more of land. Thank you. I just want to reiterate some figures that I didn't have time to do earlier in the operation, and I'm glad to hear that we're talking about maybe some sensibility to this process. A berm is certainly a practical solution to a number of things. And a berm, if you accept the premise that a berm does what it's intended to do, then the distances that you require to contemplate become much smaller. And instead of the 16 acres or 9 acres or 20 acres that I talked about, that you can configure a piece of property that you have to have as a minimum to exercise your rights as a citizen here in Guilford County and be a property owner and pay these substantial property taxes for that you are restricted from your requesting. But the important factor is none of these considerations have taken into account defensive handgun use. There's a number of people here have said that they're concealed carry holders, okay? Defensive handgun use. 8 million Americans bought a handgun or a firearm for the first time in this past year. Ammunition has disappeared because all those people are buying ammunition. What do they need it for? To train, okay? If you want to train for defensive handgun use, understand that most handgun engagements take place between 5 and 15 yards. Okay, 15 yards, it's 45 feet. Okay, on the streets of Guilford, it happens from the window of the car and leaves the assailant walking away and the victim lying in the street in a pool of blood. Okay, if you accept the premise that handgun defensive training is necessary for these people that require training. The North Carolina statute requiring certification is done at what ranges? For those of you who have taken the test, okay? If you've taken the test, what do? You fire a series of target, and it's going to be repetitious discharges, which is going to offend the noise ordinance, and you fire at a range of 3, 5, and 7 yards. That's 21 feet. So on a piece of property that is 100 feet by 100 feet, 1/4 acre, you can construct yourself a defensive bermed handgun training range that you can defend yourself, and you can learn to defend yourself, and you can qualify your concealed carry permit. So again, take into consideration, if you go the berm route, eliminate the distance requirements. Thank you.
Thank you very much.